Now, for the first time, the government has cracked down on fake news using the fake news law, also known as POFMA for short. Opposition Progressive Singapore Party member Brad Boyer has been directed to correct a Facebook post he made earlier this month. The post had questioned the independence of Temasek and GIC. Mr. Boyer was required to carry in full the correction notice at the top of his Facebook post. The Ministry of Finance said in a separate release, Mr. Boyer's post contains clearly false statements of fact and undermines public trust in the government. It is necessary to state this for the record. GIC and Temasek operate on a commercial basis and the government is not involved in their individual investment decisions. With us today to share his insights is news editor Zakir Hussain. Hi, Zakir. My first question is, what is your personal opinion about this?
Well, I think it was a matter of time before the POFMA is applied. And I think what we saw today was sort of an example of how POFMA was applied. Sort of basically, Mr. Boyer was not directed to take down his post. That's not the intention of POFMA. Rather, he had to post prominently on his site the correction or clarification from the Ministry of Finance. And I think it's good that this examples sort of come up, because I mean that people had been wondering when POFMA was going to be put into place as well. And here's an example, because actually a lot of falsehoods have been or are being peddled on social media. But this was, I think, a clear example where misleading statements as well as figures were put out to undermine public trust in the government. And I think we might expect to see more such instances of POFMA being applied in the coming months, I guess.
Oh, okay. So now that, POFMA has sort of been used for the first time, what is the reaction out there by observers? It's
mixed, I think. If you look at comments on the Straits Times Facebook page as well as observers, I think it's sort of a welcome move, because Mr. Boyer's post had been out there for more than a week, in sort of 13th November without being corrected. And now that the government sort of checked its facts and sort of put out the information out there, I think that should add some clarity to the discourse. And I think as we head, closer to an election season, you're going to see more examples of this. And I think it's not, not uncoincidental that Mr. Boyer is, involved in politics as well. I think you might expect some more of these claims to come about in the coming months.
Oh, okay. So maybe the first time, but won't be the last.
Yeah. Quite certainly it won't be the last. In fact, Mr. Boyer has come out to counter his, make further clarifications, but that's still quite live, so we'll see how that plays out.
I see. Well, thanks for coming on to share more with us, Zakir. And for more stories on local politics, they are available on straitstimes.com.